Hi, are we recording? I'm Mark Belair, and I want to say hello to all my everybody who's here, and all my, especially my fellow New York poets and readers. And thank you so much to Karen Kelsay and the terrific team that she has, and has done just a wonderful job uh, getting all our books out. I'm going to read from a book that came out last year. It's called Settling In. Let's see if I can find this. And as you'll see, it's the cover is a wooden bench because most of the poems are about how hard it is to settle into most anything. So anyway, I'm going to read three poems, and the first poem is the first one in the collection, and it's called "The Steeple." The spiky church steeple has gone grimy green. It's copper after years-long exposure, transformed from a once shining icon of transcendence to a dulled, earthly thing, a humbling, oddly consoling. The tarnished tower might even be tilting as I pass it each day, just a creature making my way. The next poem I'm going to read is a prose poem, and it's called The Auto Parts Shop. In the old days, they would have called each other grease monkeys. These auto parts pros stationed behind tall wooden counters. Guys young and old, the stretch of years for them, just different bolt lengths of the same roll of work shirt flannel. Thick beards, thick glasses, perched on stools, calloused elbows riding the countertops, and for men of action, full of talk. Fishing, hunting, motorcycling, power tools, lumber yards, pickup trucks, renovating the house, the little lady. The youngest is the first to ask, as I cruise the aisle of motor fluids, briefly the only customer, if I need help. And I do. I need him and his buddies to keep up the chatter, to keep me returned to the time when, as a boy, I'd stand behind my dad as such men, men like neither my dad nor myself, nor was I much like my dad, would conduct their easy, ribbing, knowing banter. Back to the sweet time, I could still dream a secret dream, one I shared with so many without knowing it. The dream that someday I'd find a place, ready-made, where I, unsure and unformed, would fit in. A fit that, in a snap, would ready make me. The last poem I'm going to read is called The Scarf. A young couple sits at the edge of a park fountain at night, their talk and laughter undaunted by cold wind sprays of water. Her scarf, though stylish, too thin. She finally mocks a big shiver, while his knitted one has range for two. So he loosens half a length and wraps her in it, his arm then cradling her shoulder, while she warms a hand between the chest buttons of his wool coat. Their conversation still fluid, each absent-mindedly entwining with the other, her ankle crossing his free hand further securing the scarf, both heads tilting in turn to hear the other over the fountain's rush, until the interlaced couple make a single, living, enviable hieroglyph of love. Thank you.
Unmute. Hi, I'm Wendy Sloan. I live in Manhattan, downtown. I'm actually Stuytown, for those of you who know it. This is my book, Sunday Mornings at the Caffe Mediterraneum, known as the Med. It was the old beatnik, hippie, etc. hangout cafe in Berkeley, California. So the first poem, let's see, it was a finalist in the Howard Nemeroff Sonnet Award competition, and it was nominated for a push card by Kelsay at one point. So that's an honor, of course. Women's work. $12 took the box of antique lace and linens as the hasty gavel fell. Later at home unpacking, she can tell she got a bargain. Finely crocheted placemats, quaint embroidered guest towels, napkins, heaps of doilies, table runners, all hand done. A woman's work of hours contrived each one only to wrap and pack away for keeps. The auctioneer had sketched a few brief clues, a country homestead, maybe a trousseau left in a trunk a century ago. And after all, they're much too good to use. She smooths away the wrinkles, lays the best on top, and stores them in her cedar chest. Okay, so the next poem is Ruins of Paestum. And this is the fresco of the diver that's at Paestum on the cover. Ruins of Paestum, 1, the Greek temples, circa 500 BC. The stucco paints long faded from their faces, stark Doric colonnades, stone breathing traces of vibrancy enshrined in measured mien. In the meadows, all is silence, sun, serene. We are alone, but for the spirits past, and watch small insects crawl beneath wildflowers. And reaching ages back, we nearly grasp time suspended in continuum, now ours. 2, the diver, fresco on the inside lid of a Greek tomb, 475 BC. Poised in midair above a turquoise sea, the diver is caught for an eternity in a gesture at once so simple yet profound, the passing of a soul. Without a sound, he glides from this world into that beyond. A graceful half moon tilting towards the pond, his body's firm perfection serves to show this going takes him where he ought to go. 3, modern structures. On approach, the museum screams fascist design. Surely, Mussolini's monument to himself, this style of chilling, no, cruel austerity. And then the sign, built in 1952 from plans drawn up in 1939. So modern history haunts this sanctum too. Across the ruins, in a garden with temple view after wine and a fine caprese in the shade, we rouse ourselves as the siesta fades and enter the inn just for a look, to find the stairway walls conspicuously lined with black and white photos prominently displayed. Young girls in ancient garb dance for a crowd, and yes, there he is, himself. Il Duce stands proud, his military array, his firmly folded hands. Okay, and the last one is more recent. It's from the Orchards Journal, summer 2020. And it was also nominated for a pushcart, which is a great honor for me. Twilight. My love is like the bare November hills fading to a hazy purple hue, darkening as the coming winter fills the ridge with shades. I've made my peace with you, the you that's present. Oh, but what I'd give to have the old you back, if just a dream, a haunt of night horizons. Still, you live, struggling to clutch your dimming self-esteem. I am the keeper of your flickering flame, the bosun to your ever-slackening grip, the prompter in the wings, cueing your name, the nurse that holds you tottering as you slip into the darkness. Darling, this slow death, this thread your fate unwinds, pull tight that string, strike it, as every minute now must sing, reverberating till the final breath takes me from you, and you at last from me, into the hollows of eternity.
Hi, everyone. I'm Karen Neuberg. I am in Brooklyn, New York. My book is backwards and it's Pursuit. And I'll read a few poems from it. This first one is called Green. Green hears me singing the blues and intervenes. She follows me into my dreams, posing as curtain, as cycle, as movie star. She offers a bottle of herself, mint julep. Smitten I am, and swamp haze, until I come upon my fear of the snake in her, of the lizard tail that can release and leave itself dangling in my grasp. Spiraling her concentric swirls around my wrist, I cogitate heartbeat and conception. In retrospect, she remains forever at my childhood's side, protean, pliable, and perfectly plausible. When I break away to pursue my other love, blue, she reminds me I can simply add the yoke of sun to summon her return. Now, if I can just learn to omit fear from my life, I'll be young again, full of bullseye and whirligig. The next poem is based on seeing the movie. Sorry, Agnes Varda's. I'm sorry. I didn't write the name in English, and I'm not going to attempt the French. It's called Mirrors Set in Sand. Reflected in mirrors set in sand, she sees someone she recognizes, superimposed over herself. She asks the past to leave her here and to not replay everything, everyone gone. Such beautiful people, like she too was, so young until such time as their youth became an illusion of self, a dream. In a mirror, you can stand before who you were. If you're still enough, you may see who's left. Sorry, that's The Beaches of Agnes. The next poem is actually an erasure of an early chapbook of mine called Myself Taking Stage. And I erased it going forward, taking something from each poem, and then I worked backwards, taking something from each poem. It's called Stretched Around. I remember myself opening to receive another time, waving at the threshold, quick to understand waiting might be a glimpse. Calmness settled me until my head filled the ever-changing, amazing, lovely next. I opened my pail, waded through density with ease, shine, and chrome. I could carry my voice stretched around flame, stretched around my daily, aflame with shine and chrome. I opened my pail to attach stars until my head filled with searching to find moon fragments quivering upon water, answers ever changing. I love the girl I used to be, wild, rummaging to understand meaning, determination in my arms, holding all reflected. I remember myself. And I'll finish with this last poem. It's short. It's called Throwing Blind. In the discursive, an ocean of tides under moon's pull, throwing blind into dark toward a precipitous future, changes taking almost everything taken for granted. Thank you.
Okay, I'm John Foy. Very happy to be here. I live in Manhattan, uptown near Columbia University. And I will read two poems from my most recent book. And it's called At Play. That's what it looks like. And I would like to thank Karen and her team for making this happen. I'll read two poems from the book. The first one needs no explanation. Berlitz Phrase Book. Good evening. How are you? Do you speak English? I forgot the name of my hotel. I've had a bit too much to drink. I have no firearms, nothing to declare. Where are the luggage trolleys? My bag was not on the carousel. Is there a lavatory nearby? I would like a room overlooking the sea. May I have some writing paper, please? I'm very fond of Chardonnay. The air conditioner has a broken knob. When does the bar close? The toilet flusher does not work. My TV is not functioning. The wash basin is blocked. The window is jammed. It's noon. My room is not made up. When does the bar open? My laundry should be ready now. This lingerie is not mine. There's an article of clothing gone. There's a hole in my shirt. Why? I'll want a haircut, please. A little more off the neck, perhaps. Is there a brothel in the neighborhood? Where can I find some butane gas? I'm feeling ill. I've been stung. I've got something in my eye. I've got a blister and a boil, a bruise, a burn, a cut, a lump, a rash, swelling, and a wound. Could you have a look at it? When does the bar open? I'm afraid I've soiled the bed. I have a cramp, a nosebleed, palpitations, a touch of gout. I need my medication now. Is there a doctor near the hotel? Please notify my next of kin. You have been very kind. And I'll conclude with this one. This is written in the form of a ghazal, which is an ancient Arabic and Persian form. And when you see the name of this form written in English, one, maybe like me, is tempted to pronounce it as ghazal, but the correct pronunciation in the Middle East is ghazal. And it's built on couplets, and each couplet follows a very clear thematic and structural pattern. And this is dedicated to Jane Eldridge, a long-lost childhood friend of mine. On a line from Keith Richards. It's great to be here. It's great to be anywhere. Well, yes, I suppose. To be here, to be anywhere. I'm not convinced that great is quite the word. It's good to be here, probably anywhere. But who am I to say? It almost seems that I was never here or anywhere. And you, where are you now these long years? You might be somewhere, here or anywhere. Back then, when we were 8, the jungle gym, Cape Cod, it could have been here or anywhere. When I left you that summer, your blonde hair, I gave up hope of here or anywhere. I looked for you for years in cyberspace, but you're not there, not here, not anywhere. We hung like monkeys on the monkey bars and knew that here was not just anywhere. But as you might expect, after so much time, the here begins to look like anywhere. How can you hide like this from me? I would leave here, go anywhere. But I, John Foy, have nothing left to say. You are not here, or there, or anywhere. Thank you.
Okay. My book is called Unreasonable Weather. And the first poem is about my current neighborhood. So this should give you an idea. Well, it's the East Village in New York City. City blocks of time. On 2nd Avenue was a restaurant that served chocolate in lava-like sauces, tiny dots or chunks. My son and I ate salads and burgers, various states of chocolate for dessert to celebrate an 8th grade science project, a model train with solar panel, now long derailed like the shop itself. Afterwards, a Starbucks with comfy chairs moved in. In 2016, I sat and looked for work with my laptop. After 21 years, I'd been let go. Veiny hands betrayed age. Latte after latte I drank as the resumes flew out by email for all those jobs I'd have to take but would not love. The furniture store supplied my rickety roll-top desk with drawers and shelves that are now cracked and creaking. A bulky wooden object to populate the aging rooms. The store was replaced by a makeup shop. Pretty, but not practical. Then Taco Bell appeared with constant fluorescent lights. The M2M market that sold sushi on the corner is gone too. Today, all my fish is cooked, as are my job prospects. Only contract work is offered, 18 months and out. The building upstairs was demolished and rebuilt, tenants evicted overnight. Now its bare rooms are all ablaze. The used bookstores on 4th Avenue have mostly shut down, except the Strand, which is surrounded by doorman buildings. Rent is too high. I don't run into other poets in the streets now, not on 4th Avenue or even Avenue A. No more books, perhaps at a garden reading near Avenue C by a lost bodega. Yes, I could leave, but a trailer park in Jersey isn't desirable. Taco Bells are everywhere. It's the terrain of McDonald's, of lighted signs that jump out at night, blinding me to the road. It's just that the neighborhood of Ukrainian food and tiny shops, the place I've lived so long that I've loved, is leaving me. Hibiscus. My old neighborhood is like the sound of firecrackers at noon. Shouts in the street punctuate the brilliant daylight sky. Men shift their weight on wooden crates to play dominoes, and I am wearing my mother's flowered skirt, walking down the boulevard. These are not flowers that grow in New York, but flourish in the South. Same climate as this accidental afternoon. Where am I going with my long dark hair and a skirt with cerise and yellow blooms on a white background? Waist held together only with an upside down safety pin. Where? Today, my fate is as gritty and opaque as the sidewalk, with blisters of pink chewing gum, puddles of blue popsicle. I'm prancing straight ahead, my hibiscus skirt swinging. What else will need closing with an upside down safety pin? And the last one, white shoes. Always keep your own bank account if you get married. It never hurts. I'm your mother. I know these things. Besides, the kind of man you'd marry wouldn't be trustworthy. He'd wear white shoes and a shoulder holster, no doubt. He'd turn out to be a salesman. What would you do when the bill arrived in the mail? You've never been very good with money, and he'd probably talk you into something foolish I would have told you not to do, like moving to Argentina. What on earth would you do down there without me? Thanks.
Hi everyone. I'm Francine Witte in New York City, and I don't know if you can see my book here. I just wanted to mention that I will be hosting a launch for Elizabeth's book here in New York City in person at the Parkside in September. Information to follow, but just keep an eye out for that. That'll be awesome. So I don't know if you can see this because it's backwards. The Theory of Flesh. Karen was nice enough to publish 2 of my books, so I'm going to read poems from both of them. And this one is called The Theory of Flesh, and I'll read the title poem. The Theory of Flesh states quite clearly that the table of summer is an open surface waiting for you to speak your hunger. It further states that it's up to you to give your flesh what it's asking for. Be lion, be feral. This may be your only summer. Go get it. You're only abandoned if you're waiting for someone to come. I'm on the Upper East Side. I'm not really in a bookstore. This is just a picture of a bookstore. This is Housing Works way downtown on Crosby Street. So last night, New York City was kind of lit up on fire, not literally, but because all the sports teams were winning. The Knicks won, and then the Yankees won. And I say this because I never really cared that much about sports, but my husband is so good in how he explains it all to me. So that's where this poem came from. This is Caffe Crazy. This was the first book that was published. And there's a series of poems about a made-up person named Charlie. He's not a real person. He's just like a conglomerate of a lot of jerks along the way, you know. But my husband was not one of them, not too much anyway. So I sort of morphed this little thing into him. So Charlie explains baseball to me and how it's about history, Game 6 and Gehrig, and so many stats. I tell Charlie that history hasn't been kind to him and me. And I remind him about the night he hooked up with the ice cream girl and how I forgave him because booze was already the other woman. Of course, I say this only in my head. Charlie stopped listening long ago, and I think about leaving again and again. I think how easy life could be, clean as the smack of a bat or a baseball birding through the sky. And that's when Charlie tells me how he could have gone pro, star catcher in the Pee Wee League, and later scouted in high school, but the damn drink hooked him early. Easy fish. He takes a deep breath and says, he'll tell me more later. I settle back in for the evening, looking at the boy that lives in Charlie's face. And the last one, thank you. The last one I'm going to read is the title book of Caffe Crazy. And the title poem, I'm sorry, Caffe Crazy. Caffe Crazy. Where the stink of old perfume drowns out the coffee aroma, where the hurt girls go to watch their loves die. It's a slow death, Ruby will tell you. She's the day waitress, and man, she's seen it all. Old women with their walnut bodies who gave their lusty husbands one more chance, and others with a crush of dried petals that they just keep holding on to. Ruby wipes down the counter, lets the women rant and choke love by its scrawny little neck. It's Friday afternoon, prime time for heartache. All the men who said they'd call, and Saturday's looking to be one long and lonely bitch. The door swings open, and three girls sulk in, swollen eyes and new to these parts. Ruby simply flicks them the once over, and when they sit down at the counter, she doesn't bother with a menu. She knows exactly what they'll have. Thank you so much.
Hi, everyone. Thanks, Karen and Jenna and team. I'm Judith Lee Herbert in downtown New York City, Stuytown, and I'm going to read from my book, Songbird, and the first two poems will be from Songbird, and the third one is not. Okay. The first one placed in a couple of contests. One of them was String Poet Contest. It's called My Father's Garden. Surrounded by trees laden with overgrown vines of purple Concord grapes, my father labored, standing and surveying the yard, rake in hand, proud of his land. Flowering quince, yellow forsythia, growing wildly at the borders, thick with blueberry bushes, strawberry patch, plum tomatoes morphing from green to rich red, the occasional flash of a cardinal. The boy from Middle Village, who'd daily climbed the narrow staircase to the apartment above his parents' grocery, here reveled with abandon in abundance of colors, fragrances, and songs of birds. I sat on the ground, dirt beneath my fingernails, small shovel in hand, feeling the hot sun, annoyed by the buzzing of insects, resenting forced labor. Only now do I remember his paradise, and it is mine. The next poem I'm going to read is North Star. Cobalt blue enamel sky, diamond-studded crescent moon adorn the gold locket of my charm bracelet. Gift from my parents when I was young. It holds the image of my mother as she journeys to a place without words or memory. Dana, my one and only baby Buddha, told me when she was 3, someday I won't need you anymore. At 18, it is her time to explore the brightness of the stars and the vastness of the universe. As constellations move in the night sky, my position is shifting. I navigate my way in space, holding on to the sacredness of love, my own internal North Star. Thank you, everyone. And this is the, those two, as I said, were in the chapbook, and this last one is placed in a contest last year at Long Island Poetry and Literature Repository. It's called ABC Darien in black and white, which means that there are 26 lines. The first line begins with A, the second with B, the third with C, down to Z. ABC Darien in black and white. Auburn hair, glossy and sleek in a ponytail. She blows smoke into swirls above, holds the cigarette she's bummed on the bus to the demonstration in Albany from the handsome ex-soldier back from France. I see them as if in a film noir, meeting one another's eyes, greeting each other in glamorous black and white. He with the thin line across his chin, she intrigued by his rugged demeanor, not jaded, but slightly scarred. She's standing, and he kids with her when she asks for his seat, laughs and offers her his lap. They marry 4 months later, their future not traditional, no white picket fence. He climbs over fences, leaflets factories, organizes picket lines. They ask of the world many questions. In dungarees and plaid flannel shirt, she remains committed to just causes, sings folk songs of grief and hope, strums her guitar. Together, they devote themselves to underdogs, the unseen, unserved, undone, visit the dark side of human nature, risk all. They want people of color to have the same rights as whites. Friends exed from jobs, homes, families, cities, life. Yet, my parents survived, slightly scarred, as they fought zealously to repair the world. Thank you, everyone, and thanks all for coming today.
Hi, I'm Reagan Upshaw. I don't live in New York City. I live in Beacon, 60 miles up the river, but I'm often down there. My book was published a year, does it show up? In the Panhandle. Anyway, in the Panhandle, 2 poems from that book. The first one is called Voyager, and it got its inception in a news article I read that just said, on November 5th, 2018, Voyager 2 exited the heliosphere to enter interstellar space, the region between the stars. Scientists predict that it will outlast the Earth. Unlike a fertilizing sperm that penetrates the ovum's skin, transmuting into something new, Voyager bursts from deep within the bubble of the heliosphere, borne outward on a solar wind, and enters an environment impossible to comprehend. an empty yet not empty space described as a hard vacuum inhabited by lonely atoms, hydrogen and helium, neutrinos, dust, and cosmic rays make up a plasma thought to be filled with something called dark matter, shot through with dark energy. Awaiting each delayed response from Voyager, the scientists must race against the probe's lifespan to answer questions from their lists, as 40-year-old instruments will send them data for at most a decade more, until at last the batteries give up the ghost. Its scientific mission done, Voyager will change roles to be a hopeful message in a bottle cast upon a cosmic sea. Affixed to its exterior, a gold recording disc includes in 55 Earth languages the greetings of our multitudes, our music classical to pop, a huge grab bag of noises filled with birdsong, crickets, wind, and surf, the hubbub of our world distilled, and images of supermarket, gymnasts, dolphins, the Great Wall, Jane Goodall with her chimpanzees, the Golden Gate, the Taj Mahal, a person with an ice cream cone, a missile launch, a traffic jam, plus how to get to planet Earth, shown by helpful diagrams. We cram this data on the disk, envisioning some far-off day, if day has any meaning there. An alien spaceship makes its way between the planets of some system light years off, in shape and size, in our imaginations, not unlike the Starship Enterprise. Astride the bridge, the bold commander guides his ship. His scaly skin is blue, but nonetheless we find him recognizable as kin. An indicator starts to ping. The second mate with puzzled brow looks up from his screen. Commander, spacecraft off the starboard bow. A tractor beam hauls in the object. Crewmen jostle to perceive etched upon the gold 2 humans, naked as Adam and his Eve. The artist drew us trim and nubile, no fat paunch or sagging breast. Even among space aliens, our pride demands we look our best. The aliens decode the data. Yottabyte computers start their task to parse the difference between Chuck Berry and Mozart. Safe, the probe has missed the time when, swelling to gigantic mass, our sun incinerated Earth, reducing it to swirling gas. We hope, despite the odds of crossing paths in such immensity, that Voyager will bring a tear of interspecies empathy at the compulsion which sent forth an envoy from a vanished race, its science, politics, and art long vaporized without a trace, except for this. For now, sail on, space wanderer, fulfill your fate as relic of a vanished planet, singular, self-ultimate. And the other poem I'm going to read is a one poem made of 2 sonnets. It's called Shotgun Wedding. 3 persons stand before a judge. The bride, a farmer's daughter, virtue past repair, now beams up at the man she stands beside, a piece of hay still clinging to her hair. The groom, a traveling salesman, finds his knees a tremble as he wonders at the lack of luck that has him stammering, "I take these," encouraged by a shotgun in his back. The father of the bride nods as the judge proclaims them man and wife. The movie ends, not saying if the new-made spouse will trudge behind a plow the balance of his days, or flee, resume his city slicker ways, and share the tale someday with drunken friends. 2. What shotguns aimed at us compelled our vows to lives demanded of us? What force curbed contrary predilections? As the laws enacted by our parents were absorbed, what kept them in us? Fear of punishment? A father disappointed in his son? A daughter shamed if she would not relent? Until ours were the hands that held the gun? No matter, something harnessed us to places, jobs, and people, ordering our lives. Some soon accepted, some kicked at the traces like peevish mules. With luck, something survives the dull resentment at the barrel's shove. And then one day we find we are in love. Thank you.
Hey everyone, I am Ann Wallace, and I am joining from what some people refer to as the sixth borough, Jersey City, New Jersey, and right across the river from Manhattan. So thank you for including me in this reading of New York poets. I really appreciate being involved in this. My book is Days of Grace and Silence, a chronicle of COVID's long haul. So I'm going to read 3 pieces from it. The first is called, and this is as the title says, a chronicle of living through long COVID. It's 3 years of it, but my daughters and I all have long COVID, and this is a collection that is written in chronological order. The poems are dated almost like a journal, so you kind of follow the trajectory. So this is called Passages from Spring 2023, which is near the close of the collection. It's been decades since my body held a narrative clear and simple. It turned to poetry long ago when a refrain emerged, was repeated with life, interrupted once, then again, and again. A poem always begins in the middle or someplace nearby because truly, have you ever tried telling a poet to begin at the beginning? When doctors ask me or my daughters how our illnesses began, oh, the poems we compose on paper-lined examination tables, each one of us a stanza braided to the other, with no beginning and no end. The poet in me dares not ask if we are always muddling around in the endless looping middle of this story. How might we ever write our way out? Next poem is called Synesthesia from Spring 2021, about a year into our illnesses. Synesthesia. I was thinking about hungry birds and spring and the returned fever of my daughter, but these things do not inspire hope. So her sister suggests music and plays a song she says is orange and pink and sounds like a painting. And now I know we both hear color and texture when others are stuck listening for the words. And to close, I'm going to read the final poem of the collection. It's called The Infinity of Hope. We talk a lot about the little things, the ripple of a stone in the glossy surface of a lake, circles pushing out and out and out until they join other circles and waves, each a disruption that begins with the weight of an object thrown or body, say, of a dragonfly, landed where before there was none. We talk a lot about the little things, the small decisions or delays that mean you and not me, or me and not you, is in the wrong or the right place at the wrong or the right time. We used to call it chaos theory, the way one small action here has grand potential to impact you wherever, whoever you may be. Sometimes the ripples, they are devastating. The wave of one airborne particle headed toward me and mine. The way we might think an action is harmless because we do not think to look where the stone lands, where the ripple travels, because we are so mesmerized by the rings expanding with perfection upon the smooth water. But other times, the impact of the small things, it is beautiful. A kindness or surprise that spreads like a ripple into a smile, a day set into motion, expansive, unknowable, with potential that is infinite. So tell me, what small ripples will you release into the world today on faith that you may not see what stuck things they loosen? Thank you.
Well, Carolyn Clark is up next. I'm trying to put you on the spotlight, but there's no option to spot. You might have to start your video, and then it'll let me put you on the spotlight if you want to be.
Yeah, I'd like to start the video, and I think we got it now. You had taken me off video. Thanks. Is that good now?
There we go.
Okay, great. All right. So
Go ahead.
thank you very much. So I'm going to start with a poem from Watershed, the most recent book from a couple years ago. And I'll try to keep it light, but this was actually one that was written when my daughter was living in Brooklyn. She now lives in California. Laurie's love poem number 2, April 10th, 2020. Intrepid wind, you ignite my house. I cannot slow you down. Pollen or Amazon or both. You keep delivering more and more than I ever asked for. Like children, our needs keep changing. Today, the printer, tomorrow, the pond pump. Yesterday, more one-a-days, vitamins to keep us strong. Me sending masks and a thermometer via USPS overnight to Brooklyn, where the city that never sleeps is now a sensory deprivation box, and my youngest child on fire as a coal that keeps reigniting, her jet black hair unwinding a coiled staircase over the courtyard in my dreams, moist and dark. Rapunzel's ladder, the only way out. Prayers also winging. Though taking flight, angels land on breast and breath and shoulder to give each statistic strength, hope, and human form. And speaking of hope, this one I read twice last time, once at the library called the Jefferson Market Library, where there are 3 plaster cast reproductions of the Hope statue. And it's called Space, S-P-E-S. And I was delighted to see these had come all the way from Augustan age Rome in copies. And here it was. When Romans borrowed space from the Greeks and freed her from the darkened box, they knew she was different from the rest, different from all those woes and diseases that had peeled out as Pandora peeked in. Hope alone had stayed a solitary bright seed, strong, hard and alive, awaiting human need. When Hope finally did step out, she was tall, and her image suddenly sprung up all around in Augustan statues, temples, on coins. She was everywhere to be found, a shining reminder. Right hand extending offertory flower, left hand lifting billowing skirts just high enough to reach her stride. And I'll take another shot at one that I like with this book. It's called, let me just get that second. There are 2 books that I owe everything to for Karen. This one, and I'll read one from another, and that's it. God Puzzle and a Reckless Zephyr. This is still from Watershed. I am everywhere you are not. You are everywhere I am. As poet, I am here to record this thistledown wind. I am its curator, with poison pen or golf pencil stub on birch bark skin. I try to keep track of its comings and goings, arrivals, vanishings, reappearances. Feckless zephyr, spring wind too strong. You are relentless in doubling our trouble, creaking staccato enclaves, sowing the air with spheres of spiky pink stubble, corona-shaped pollen. Yet every now and then off you go, thither and yon, suddenly softer, lisping whispers drawing us out with your song. Spring is here. Why not take up residence? Breathe deeply in, exhale fear. So another hopeful one came from my mother, who passed away during COVID, not from COVID, but we both couldn't hug one another. This was the book we also owe to a publication from Karen Kelsay, beautiful book. Home Again is the one I read about being in. This one is mine, so I'll read it first. I wrote it in 1978. My mother never saw it, but here it is. Home again, sleeping in JFK's air-conditioned confidence. I say, Sister America, I'm home again. I've come through gates and run from runways, carrying home my heritage, a sack full of dreams. So what happens? Green Sleeves comes over the radio, irreverent grocery store music from a wealth of high halls. Immigration took away my oranges, but left me through. And as I enter this new port, a 6-hour-old sun is rising to this new time. It was a time of innocence. Years later, I came through and I saw President Trump at that time, 2016 to something, talking about how immigration was going to become a difficulty, and sure has it. My mother had another mother, my grandmother, Florence Ober Adams from Colorado, who gave her some words of wisdom, and I'll end with these. Return Flight, also written in 1982. Taking off for JFK, the last lap of my long flight home, I remembered our years in Manhattan, how you always dressed me in light, your optimism, a revolving door I spun into sparkling lobbies filled with green plants, life. Yesterday in London, I visited Liberty's, your favorite store, and climbed the stairs to Remnants. I looked for those roses and the blue peacocks you adored. Afterwards, I found the park and touched the trees, their elephant hide, like memories, their grief-pinched faces. It was then you spoke. My dearest child, fret not your cares. Love is a trap for us on earth, but the only means of measuring the way out. And thank you very much for letting me read today. It was a pleasure again. Thank you.
So I'm supposed to just start talking?
Yep.
I'd like you all to lift your head to the side. No, I just figured out how to handle this, but I don't want to take a chance. I have to go back to, okay. So I have 4 books, and my first one was The Future, not through Kelsay, I have one through Kelsay, was The Future is Happy, which is a Blaise Vox book. What I choose to remind you is that I, Sarah Kent, am Earth Mother of Superman, rocketed to our planet for safekeeping when its homeland imploded, which is what the universe did prior to becoming the universe, and with dazzling flourishes of an illuminated manuscript, illuminated really fast. Like Moses, bobbling in sun gold rushes, Clark was a foundling, and like Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, survived fires unscathed. Clarks of impact with this planet, more than many I've seen do. I raised him to be respectful and cheerful, kind, in an American way. I am an American Sarah, embracing the visitation with one joy-spilled tear and the other Vidalia sliced for the stew. I didn't laugh, but taught my son his civic duty of salvation, which his new world seems to need with every turn. When I first saw a rerun of Superman and one of the early Supermans, and I discovered, oh, his mother was Sarah, naturally I became overly interested. Well, anyway, you see the bra, and that's what counts. That's Strapless Bra in Heaven, and this is my Kelsay book. It was the year the birds held a conference. It was the year we wove vests of night blooming jasmine. We wove them lightly. Our breasts fell in love. It was the year enchantment sold, 2 for 1 or 5 for a blessing. Our pillows filled with grasshoppers. Crickets deciphered our dreams. That year, children became pinwheels. That year, Ferris wheels spun out of control. It was the year the birds held a conference. At scheduled breaks, they perched on our shoulders, singing songs of love and loss. After a rain, the land wept at the beauty of life. And I don't have my third book, which is Indolent Press. A lot of you locals know it, Michael Broder's Indolent Books. I'm in the East 20s, so I could be over to Stuytown in like 5 minutes if anyone's cooking dinner. And this is my most recent, Bright Eyed, Poets Wear Prada. I'll read two. This is kind of about my family's transition, as it were, from New York, I was born on Long Island, to California, to Los Angeles. Things always work out. The sun behind you inches up on autopilot, as when you're at the wheel and suddenly home wondering, how did this happen? Things always work out. 2 feet off the ground, you faced west, the direction of expansion, not invention, but reinvention, is when you roll out your flesh cautiously, as if there were a red carpet, subject to inconsideration. With the east now behind you, the lush of you spreads across so much land, flips the pages of religion to the index of nouns, thumbs through in search of a promised earthly garden of ethereal delight, all the while thanking all that is real, thanking all that is real. And my final poem was my final poem that I'll read, perhaps. Okay, I'll have to find it again. I don't know if you know Zocalo Public Square. They had a poetry competition. I love the journal. A poetry competition on poems of place, and my poem place was an honorable mention. So that's about the only time anyone has ever said Sarah Sarai and honorable in the same sentence. California Holding. I sent my great-nephew poems on mastery, perfection, the work. Life is calculation. Calculation is art. He's black. I'm white. We're both seniors. Colleges are scouting him. Medicare is courting me. The collection, Beholding, is an easy pick for an aunt far away, who long ago gave up on family. They'd done the same. So, Beholding, praise of precision and the incalculable of Dr. J. Julius Irving, who is 1 year younger than I am. Ross Gay, the poet, is way years younger, enough of him. Dr. J's soaring, gliding, gravity-defying reverse layup acted out wily calculations of angles, throw upon toss upon game. Like Euclid, Q. E. Dean, all 463 propositions with brick on brick logic. May my great nephew's life be floral and expert, California worthy, the California of survival. I want it beautiful and open, imperfect and joy-filled, filled with praise and the renewal of love, regreening hillsides. Endow each life with praise, and don't forget me, thriving like a succulent. Thanks. Oh, I should have. So many of you know me.
Hi, everyone. I'm Judith Rosner, and I'm a newbie. It's my first time here. This is my first book, Paradigm Shift. And thank you again and again, Karen and your team, for bringing it to light. I also want to tell you that this is not my kitchen. I'm visiting in Connecticut, and I live on the very Upper West Side, probably near John Foy at 106th Street. My book covers a lot of territory. It's memoir, it's all those transitions that we go through, parent, grandparent, travel, living through COVID, and of course, growing older. I was a city kid, grew up in New York, and my only knowledge of outside of New York occurred during a 1-week vacation that my parents would take every year to go to Maine. So my first poem, School of Maine. 1 week each year, our family set off on vacation from cosmopolitan New York City to foreign territory, the state of Maine. Father feared there would be no grocery stores in the land of forests and bears, so we traveled weighted down by canned goods and a well-stocked first aid shoebox to a housekeeping cottage on Lake Cobbessy. I was a girl who had her nose in a book most of the time and who only knew how to play hopscotch, jacks, and pickup sticks. This was where I learned to water ski, play ping pong, and slice a silent lake with canoe paddle while I listened to bird songs and the beat of my heart. It was where I tasted scallops for the first time, served up at the local diner, sweet and fried, ready for dipping in tartar sauce, a treat prohibited in my almost kosher kitchen. Maine seemed far enough away to make it feel okay. It was where on early mornings I sat with my father in a rowboat. He taught me how to put worms on hooks and cast a line. In silence, we waited for a tug, the possibility of a fish, and the experience of a catch. It was where I felt the exhilaration of a billowed sail and the heat of beating sun when set adrift, where I learned that wind can be both friend and foe, in a flash, turning water's surface from glass to gale. These lessons I learned on Lake Cobbessy. It was there, on a moonlit night, on the shore of the lake, snuggled at the base of a birch tree, I kissed a boy for the first time. I can't remember his name. My writing poetry very much coincided with the birth of my grandchild. And so this is one of my poems about my grandchildren. Child of my child. I cradle the child of my child in my arms. Her silken newborn hair tickles as she moves head, twitches limbs, mimics moves made in mother's womb before deciding to break free. Caressing her pristine body with my aging skin, I notice the wrinkles on us both. While mine continue to deepen, hers will fill with mother's milk, creating chipmunk cheeks, Buddha belly. Can she sense the love in my touch? See the happiness in my smile? Hear my heart sing, feel its warmth as I rock her to sleep, quiet her cries, croon as she takes bottle with gusto. Eyes just now focusing, fingers reaching. She's like Columbus discovering a new world. I yearn to explore, learn along with her, to lift the jaded filter from my eyes and blink to see the world anew through hers. And the last poem I'll read is the title poem of the book. With retirement, my husband and I have been going back and forth between our apartment in New York and Sarasota, Florida. So this is one of my many shifts. Paradigm shift. Where once the thought of living in Florida was anathema, and envisioning myself a retiree impossible, I now live among palms on its west coast. I feel I'm living someone else's life, someone who can pick up a book, travel, write, or take a dip in the pool if and when she wants. Gears ground slowly, squeakily, reaching the point where I could accept this slower pace, live with less structure. Good news came with the change, the gift of time. Grateful for the view through this new lens. Thank you.
So I just wanted to thank everyone. I think we're finished, right, Jenna? We could probably go for about 3 more hours with all the people we've published in New York. So we'll probably have to come back and do a reading upstate or the Hudson Valley or somewhere. But I just wanted to express our thanks for everyone who's taking time out of their day to come and do this. It really means a lot, and we're really happy to have all you guys as our publishees. Is that what you call it? So anyway, if you wanted to just hang around and chat a little, a few of you didn't say where you lived. So I think Mark Belair, you didn't say where you lived. Are you there? Yeah. Unmute yourself.
I'm unmuted. Yeah. No, I'm sorry. I skipped that, but I'm on the Upper West Side of Manhattan, 86th Street in Columbus. So for the Upper West Siders, we're all in the same neighborhood.
Nice. And Carolyn Raphael, I'm sure I tried to ask you to read, but I didn't get a response back. You're in Long Island? You got to unmute.
I did. Yes, I am. I never received it. You know I would have answered you.
Oh, okay. Well, I'll put you in on the next one we do. Because I was surprised to see you. I thought maybe something happened to you. But
no.
Okay, great.
Thank you for the reading. It was lovely.
And Alice, you live in New York, don't you? Gotta unmute you. Hold on.
I live in Vermont.
Oh, okay.
I live next to New York.
All right. And there was one time I did a long distance drive and went up the coast and then into Vermont and down the middle of New York. And I know there were poets spotted all around in that area. And I went down from there to Bucks County. So I did this huge loop with a lot of reading events in between, and it was really great. So maybe we'll try to do that next year.
Yeah, that'd be great.
And pick up all you guys. Well, it was really